Does it really matter when you sleep at night if you're struggling with long-term insomnia or sleep problems? The sleep myth that we're going to debunk in today's video is this idea that it absolutely doesn't matter when you sleep at night. And when clients start working with me, often this question comes up in different ways. So, naturally, when you are struggling with long term insomnia or sleep problems, you're going to have different parts of your sleep that you're struggling with. So, fitting your sleep into a time frame that regularly happens might be the least of your concerns. You might be first focusing on being able to fall asleep easily if that is the challenge that you have. You might be actually more concerned about learning how to sleep through the night if you're having nighttime wakings. But one of the reasons this is really important to integrate into your learning is I've seen clients going down different routes, different learnings, different things they tried when they actually didn't think about this very foundational piece first. So we are going to talk about it in a practical way. And as always, what's most important is you always refer back to your situation and really look at it from what you're seeing with your sleep challenges or insomnia problems as well. Now, if you are part of my community already, then welcome back. Thank you so much for continuing to learn from me. And if you're brand new, then let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Beatrix Schmidt. I'm a sleep coach, a professional speaker, and the creator of the Sleep Skills for Life program, which is very much my way of helping people like you to finally overcome their long-term insomnia and sleep problems and make sure that they can actually really develop great quality sleep for many years to come. Hence, Sleep Skills for Life. So let's turn our attention back to what you would want to look at if you want to really look at this idea of does it matter where your sleep is in your nighttime? Now, one of the first things I see in my practice is you might be deciding when you're going to bed or when you're waking up, depending on how you feel in the moment in time. So, what do I mean by that? If you are struggling with, let's say, falling asleep, what I've seen with clients is you might be changing things around, meaning you go to bed at different times depending on how you feel. This can be how nervous you feel about falling asleep. This can be how maybe frustrated or tired or exhausted you might feel in the evening. So you might be going to bed earlier one night and you might be going to bed later another. Another thing that I see in my practice when people decide these things based on how they feel is nighttime disturbances. So if you, let's say, have slept a shorter chunk of sleep initially, you might actually push your morning alarm further because you want to give yourself a higher amount of chances or ability to be able to have more sleep onto your alarm. If you have a longer sleep chunk, you might actually change your alarm to a different time because you know that you've already achieved something better than maybe the night before. So this is how I see that people shift things around depending on how they feel. Now, the reason we want to leave this behind is because if you struggled for a long period of time, your feelings are already going to be based on sleep deprivation. This is not about judging or criticizing, but making decisions that way is not going to give you a more informed decision that can actually support you for many, many years to come. So I have recorded a video on figuring out how or better ways to approach this idea of whether or not you feel sleepy, tired, and so on. So I'll link this here because that's really going to help you to start moving away from responding to shifting time frames depending on how you feel. Now, the second part here is the reason you don't want to be base your decisions on how you feel is because it might actually be very simply confusing your body and your mind to figure out what you're expecting from it. Now, when you struggle a lot, your body and your mind will not be skillful at, for example, falling asleep or sleeping through the night. But shifting the time frame often brings more complications. Because let's say you have started improving your ability to feel relaxed in the evening. if you start becoming relaxed and then you push your sleep around and maybe force yourself to wake up, it will be confusing your body and your mind because it's expecting to go to bed at a certain time. So again, this is just a very simple way to describe what I mean by, does your body and your mind understand what you're expecting from it at what time? So when we look at the way the body and the mind works, it works through rhythm. It works through these 24-hour things that happen. Now, you might have heard about circadian rhythm, so we're going to talk about it in a practical way. But this rhythm is really about how your body and your mind functions at what times of the day, depending on what you are intending to do. So circadian rhythm is often misunderstood somewhat. So when you look at the circadian rhythm, it's naturally a rhythm that your body gets into when it comes to sleep time and time frame. So it's going to be about what sort of time you're transitioning into sleep, and it's going to be about what times you might be transitioning out of sleep. But what sometimes people don't actually sort of understand is circadian rhythm isn't just about this one thing. It's not an intellectual decision. It's really the body and the mind's way of creating this flow, this rhythm of a 24-hour. But it is based on all your other organs as well. So every single organ of your body has its own circadian rhythm. And all these different smaller circadian rhythms feed into this main ability to fit sleep into where it belongs and into a certain time frame. So if your body and your mind doesn't know how to feed all these different things into the main circadian rhythm, that's where those confusions might come from. Again, this is just a simple way to describe it. This is definitely not a scientific description, but this will really help you to understand, what do I mean by your body and your mind might be confused about what you're expecting from it. So if you exercise a certain time, or you eat a certain time, or many other things that happen in your body through your organs at different times, it actually is going to influence your ability to be able to create this main circadian rhythm and your ability to fit the sleep into a time frame that it naturally belongs to. Now, another thing that clients often sort of tell me or challenge me about is, well, what if you're a late person or you're a morning person? Yes, that does have an influencing factor, but your body and your mind can shift. This is where, if you go to a different time zone, you can shift. It's just going to mean that you might have a period of jet lag. So your body can change depending on how you're actually guiding it. And so if you believe you're a late person or a morning person, but it doesn't actually fit with your lifestyle, you've got to go back to figuring out how you can work with your body and your mind and your lifestyle in a better way, a more practical way. And the third thing I always talk to clients about is that when your sleep is in rhythm and it's actually starting to improve because you put it into a certain time frame, even if it's just 5% better or 10% better, it starts to have an accumulative impact as well. Mainly because when your body and your mind is in rhythm and therefore your sleep is more fitted into a similar time frame, higher amounts of relaxation also comes into the picture, because your body and your mind no longer has to guess what happens at what times. It actually starts to create and proactively lead up to your sleep time in a more physically, emotionally, and mentally relaxed way. Now, you can also guide that practically, but with the stability of the time frame comes this predictability, this ability for your body and your mind to know, okay, well, that time is the time this is happening. So what am I going to do towards that time frame? Increase relaxation. So that accumulation of energy and quality of the sleep will also come from how stable your sleep is. And so that's why when I look at clients, we really want to figure out what is that time frame that we want to use, so we can work towards really helping the body and the mind to know when it's supposed to do, what it's supposed to do, how it can actually create these transitions and fall asleep in an easy way and actually sleep through the night night in a more effective way as well. Now, when it comes to sleep time frames, it's just part of that puzzle. You're gonna have your own sleep dynamics and your own puzzle pieces. So in today's video, I just wanted to walk you through why you would want to actually start figuring out a stable time frame for yourself. Now, the time itself will often depending on your lifestyle. So I'm not going to be able to sort of tell you what's the best, because it really just depends on the person, their lifestyle, their personality traits, their type of struggles that they have. But this will help you to start sort of practically figuring it out for yourself as well. But stability with a time frame and this intention of when sleep or where sleep needs to be fitted in is a really proactively helpful way to start building those foundations and start actually bringing in more of those tools and techniques to build upon that, so that you can actually improve your sleep in the coming weeks. So if you have liked today's video, then hit that like button below. Subscribe as well if you haven't yet, and hit that little bell as well so I can let you know when I post videos. In the coming weeks, we're going to be talking about more of these smaller chunks of things that I explain with to clients. We're going to look at some of these more specific things that I get asked about.